Begin by preparing your patient and ensuring 1 microbore double lumen saline lock adapter or a 3-way stopcock has been added to their IV, and then gather the following equipment. 3 Sigma Spectrum infusion pumps, 2 sets of standard IV tubing with ports, 1 set of IV tubing without ports, insulin infusion bag mixed at 0.1 unit per ml concentration. Refer to the IH Parental Medication Manual for mixing instructions. Bag A solution, which is normal saline with or without KCl as ordered. And a Bag B solution, which is D10 normal saline with or without KCl as ordered. Note sites with pharmacy services may offer D12.5 normal saline.
Okay, so we're going to take a closer look at the 3-bag system with the insulin, bag A, which would be normal saline with or without KCl, and bag B, which is D10 normal saline with or without KCl. So the first bag, insulin, we're mixing the 0.1 unit per ml concentration, and the tubing that we use is the portless regular tubing but without ports that we should be using for all infusions, just for safety's sake, so that someone doesn't come along and use one of the ports inadvertently for something else, because this is an infusion. So just a portless tubing set for the insulin, and that gets connected to one of the 2 ports on the saline lock for the patient. So the insulin tubing will be connected to one of those ports. Next, we have our 2 hanging other solutions. The bag A, like I said, for the purposes of this, I just chose with KCl because that's more likely what will happen. So your bag A is just on regular tubing with ports onto a Sigma pump as well as the insulin, and that's going to go connect to the second port of the saline lock. Bag B, which is the dextrose solution, so D10 normal saline with or without KCl. Again, for the purposes of this, I've chosen to use KCl. And if you're in a site that doesn't have pharmacy support, you can mix this as per the instructions on the back of the pre-printed orders. So this bag is also put on a regular set of tubing with ports, primed into your Sigma pump, and this is connected into the system into the lowest port on the bag A, so bag A being the normal saline. So here we have our normal saline with or without KCl line going into the patient, and we're going to attach our bag B onto the lowest port of that normal saline line. Programming of the insulin infusion on the Sigma pump. When you turn your pump on and after you've loaded your tubing in, you're going to go along to select Pediatrics and start typing in as you do insulin. And then they've got insulin regular peds showing up there. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And they have 2 options in currently that may change in the future. We really want to be sure you're always selecting a 0.1 unit per ml concentration. The BC Children's Hospital DKA in the 500 ml bag, that's what we're using for our protocol, and this would be the one we'll choose for the purposes of this demonstration. Again, in the future that might change and you just might see the concentration up there, but when we do select it, we want to be sure that it is confirming 0.1 units per ml, and that's what we want. Putting in the patient's weight, I'm going to pretend my little guy here is 20 kilos, and I hit OK. The dose is 0.1 unit per kilo per hour on the protocol, which will give me a volume of 20 mils per hour. And when I hit OK on this, that's when I'm going to want to do my double check before starting this on the patient. Just so you know, on the protocol, they do have the insulin in units per hour written, and that is nowhere to be found in the pump programming. It is just the way the pumps are. It's more for your reference to ensure that the dose that you are giving seems reasonable for the size of the child. But again, you will not find the units per hour in the pump. You're simply programming in the dose, which is 0.1 units per kilo per hour, into the pump, and it'll do the calculations for you. You're then just going to hit your run stop as you do. Check for your drips and any kinks in the tubing. You hit yes, and your infusion is running. We're going to look at how we adjust the bag A and bags B solutions to maintain the maintenance rate that has been ordered through the physician worksheet. So for this child, we're saying his maintenance rate is 75 mils per hour. And I'm going to just go ahead and pretend his blood sugars are, let's say, 21. And so that means, according to the protocol, if you look at it, blood sugars greater than 20 warrant just bag A running, which is the normal saline with or without potassium solution. So we have bag B pump turned off at this point in time, and we're just simply running the bag A. Let's say a couple hours have gone by, and now our sugars have gone down to 19. So there are 21, they've dropped by a couple points. We are going to want to start introducing the dextrose from bag B into this formula. So what we're going to want to do is change the rate on bag A, and you can simply do this by selecting the change rate button, so we don't need to stop the whole thing. And I'm going to, just because it did drop by a couple points over the last hour, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive, and I'm going to go down from 75 to 55 for my normal saline, just because I don't want that sugar to drop too far. I'm going to hit OK to confirm, and I'm going to hit run to continue on with that new rate. So keeping in mind, I want to now keep this running at 75 total. I'm going to go ahead and start my bag B dextrose solution at 20 mils and I've had this pre-set up so that it knows what I wanted to do an infusion, and it knows I've got 1,000 mils in there. So running this at 20, I'm going to say okay, that's what I want to do, okay, and I'm going to hit yes, I'm all good. So now my total of my two fluids remains at 75, but I'm now giving dextrose to account for that lowering blood sugar. Okay, so let's say that blood sugar drops by another point over the next hour. And we want to more conservatively manage that dextrose by increasing it. We can again go ahead and change the rate, up that by maybe 10 points. And over here I would decrease by 10 points. Now there's some physicians that feel very, comfortable, having phone calls from the nurses each time the adjustments is made. Some pediatricians like to write out, little schedules in terms of if it drops by this much, adjust your fluid this way. So each scenario is going to be different for how you guys do this. There might be some nurses who are comfortable with adjusting the sugars just based on their experience. So each scenario is going to be different, but the guide to how to do it is on the pre-printed order, so hopefully that'll be helpful for you.